Hello there everyone, welcome back. We got ourselves a nice treat for you there, as I'm finally gonna get a different matchup here in the Eldar. And for one, I have very little idea how I'm gonna do this matchup here, especially when he eventually picks the assassination mode. So I'm a little bit stumped here. I did not realize or think of it until after the match that what I probably could have done if mobility is going to be my biggest concern is just straight up do like 2 dauntlesses, a bunch of frigates, and just kamikaze onto them there. I think after the fact that's what I should have done, but instead I go with a traditional type of fleet there, try and gamble a tiny bit on where his placement's going to be, and then try and run him down. So what really can I say in all honesty? I'm completely stumped on how I should field my fleet here, but as I said, with the dauntlesses and the light cruisers anyway, and a handful of frigates, I could have afforded to do that over my current composition for this matchup, because really what it does is even if I get super aggressive and lose my 2 light cruisers, it's still 2 light cruisers and a lot of frigates that can, at the very least, run them down relatively well. It's not a perfect strategy, and of course my swords have absolutely no upgrades to them to make them actually useful in this matchup. So, well, I take that back. The swords are actually useful in general, they just don't have the range and ability to reliably hunt down any Eldar ships. They can kind of kite them relatively well. They can still run down like the Eclipses and especially any battleships he tends to field, but in this case he decides to go straight for the Eclipse there. He's not going to go top heavy with the battleship and rely on the raw health to survive this matchup. Nope. I've already conceded this match to kind of be a loss, I'm not going to lie. I'm feeling like there's no way I can outmaneuver him, mainly because I never thought to field double dauntlesses for this. And of course, my lack of experience for this entire matchup is mainly going to be due to the fact that I so slendomly, rarely encounter Eldar just in my regular YouTube videos of what I've been doing with persistent mode. Quite frankly, I have encountered Eldar so rarely that I have no idea how to really face this matchup if I'm going to take it seriously with like my cruisers and battleships at least. I feel like I could just easily commit kamikaze with light frigates or light cruisers even, and has surprisingly been working well with the vanguards at the very least. Although some of my opponents have not been top caliber for those Space Marine matches, I will admit, so I can't honestly say if that would be a working strategy or not. Nonetheless, I try and do what I can there. I could probably just do a much wider arc maybe with the torpedoes rather than having them narrow like this. Although it's going to be tricky to have such a wide torpedo arc, but that is what it is. Eldar have the best means of dodging torpedoes, so I probably should seriously put such wide arc there. But this is a good opportunity to at least practice my formation a little bit, because keeping my ships in close formation is going to be important, considering he is revealing that he's using bombers. He's got the bomber variant type of Eclipses there. At least 4 to 1 there, and he has a Solaris. I don't think he can commit to even fielding another Eclipse. And I don't know if it's possible or not, but considering this is an assassination where he has to warp out that Eclipse, is it actually possible for that to suffer a lost in warp effect? I want to say no, considering it's the ship that needs to survive and warp out, but that is something I'm seriously curious about, because if he does not have the Navigator, and I'm going to point out right now, he does not have the Navigator on that Eclipse, there's a real possibility he could suffer a lost in warp effect, and with an Eclipse, and the fact that all Eldar seem to neglect their light cruisers, and never mind their regular cruisers quite heavily, that would be kind of catastrophic for him if he ever misses out on one of those Eclipses there, and that's going to be a question I'm going to be wondering, especially for match 2 there, where I decide to field or do the space station assault, because I feel like the defensible position and the massive sensor range of the station is going to be really amazing for me there, just harassing him the instant he gets within firing range there. There'll be no way he can dodge my macro batteries there, so long as I position myself right there so he cannot punish my ships being isolated, but he stalls. There's no way I could chase him. I could boost, but again, we already saw the fruits of the bombers already taking effect there. I lost a third of my health. I didn't have all the cruisers close enough there. Hell, I wasn't really paying attention, but I don't think a second cruiser was even able to contribute with its point defense very well. But I could have silent run, but with the boosting, that wouldn't have really done a whole lot. That wouldn't have really done a whole lot, and again, it's like I said, I should try and do a much wider arc with the torpedoes. Something I'll have to put a little bit of effort in, but at the same time, it also risks, if I'm not diligent with my control, of spreading out my fleet. And quite frankly, for this matchup, with the cruisers and battleships anyway, I want them to be in tight formation as possible. At the very least, have them be able to defend one another from multiple ships there at the same time with their pulsar strikes. If nothing else, because like the two tyrants I have on top there, I could just burn retros with one of them there and then just boost the other one forward to at least protect it from a second salvo of pulsars. And he is equipped with the all-the-way favor there, as clearly shown on the one eclipse there. And then it'll become a question of how effective am I at avoiding multiple ships losing their shields for that maelstrom. That's going to probably be the big challenge here. But like I said, this was kind of a throwaway match. I have absolutely no idea how to even contend with that. And like I said, if I had thought a bit more, had time to really consider, I could have just gone with the two Dauntlesses, the frigates, because I could have cornered him incredibly easily there and at least done some damage to him. Highly unlikely I could have killed the Admiral ship there, but if he has auto-cast bombers, I could just silent run with one of the main ships in front that is auto-casted on and then just negate his bombers entirely there. And at least that way I'll just have to deal with his pulsars, which actually is not really bad for me. Especially with shield transfers to help deal with any potential maelstroms, assuming he focuses down one target. Because that's kind of part of the reason why I never got the extended additional health on my Dauntlesses there. Mainly for the purposes of Eldar, so that way it takes less shield transfers for me to get my shields back up. It sounds counterintuitive, I will admit, because all the other matchups would probably benefit nicely having the extra 100 health shields for all my ships ideally. But for Eldar, with the Maelstrom, I need those shields up, no questions asked. Because any damage I can mitigate with the Maelstrom is going to be huge, and I've kind of experimented a little bit what kind of fleets I can use. But ultimately, I go with the same fleet I do before, the Dictator, 2 Overlords. I kind of question a little bit the Dictator's value, because torpedoes are almost never going to hit. The bombers probably are not going to effectively reach if he's good about his positioning and silent running, especially with the number of fighters he's going to have even. And of course, the macro batteries are not really going to be significant enough to be a threat unless he gets super aggressive, which you know how most Eldar are. They like to stay at max range possible, and then just falls maneuver boost out, which is not technically how my Eldar play out, but to be fair, I'm still trying to learn the Eldar, and I don't think I can really learn from my own Eldar play even, considering my playstyle is so vastly different. Hell, I would even argue most of my matches I've won because all my opponents don't even expect me to go so aggressive with torpedoes. Even my own playstyle, I can't really say that that I know what I'm doing. Well, let me reflect. I don't even know what I'm saying there. Basically, any matches I played with my Eldar do not help me in learning how to fight against Eldar because of the playstyle I chose for at least for my videos. As I try and set up my minefields, what I do here with these mines is a little bit slightly different. I make them deliberately wider arc, so that way they can cover more ground, because any sensible Eldar, especially if they're not confident with their controls, is not going to risk falls maneuvering boosting into this minefield. Even with how wide an arc and it's easy is to just manually fly through there, there's too much risk that they could just boost right back into them. unintentionally because they have absolutely no control of their ship when they are boosting. Especially when they're trying to dodge my macro cannons and potentially any bombers or torpedoes coming at them. So I'm confident this wide minefield spread is going to deter him heavily. Although, I probably could put the middle mines a little further forward because there's no reason he would be that close to me, judging by how close my ships are actually to that minefield. I could have probably poked them up a little bit further. Hell, I could have just moved them all together somewhere else. Because there's no way Eldar will fly back into those mines because of how close they are. I'm referring to maybe the 3 or 4 that are right in the middle of the map. If I move them a little bit more to the left and right, that'd probably benefit me a little more. At least in covering the central area. As he starts moving on forward, no surprise to anyone, he's got the 2 Eclipses and the Void Stalker. No surprise at all. I'm not really surprised. Hell, I did a few practice matches way before before I did my weekend streaming with the Chaos to try and experiment with them. And in all honesty, that was my first time diving the ranks in general. I used that as an excuse to practice and get a feel for Chaos, but I did get an encounter with Eldar in those like 2-3 matches, so it seemed the rundown attempt with like slaughters anyway worked well in that regard, so it kind of emphasizes what I mean with maybe the light dauntlesses, or rather the light cruisers swarm, at least for assassination. But in this case, with the lance variants, I had no luck at all. It felt like I just got completely outplayed, especially since I was kind of going for like a long-range scouting type build with lances, which of course is not going to be very effective, and at least not very efficient with Eldar. And I think I even had one match with Eldar when on my second weekend stream with the Imperial Navy, but that was a complete stomp. I don't think I got any real experience out of that, considering he was fielding nothing but light cruisers. So, my experience is so limited here, as I do dodge the stasis bombs. I have not really done solid running. I could do a solid run right now, actually, to kind of deal with any bombers. I'm not paying attention for bombers, though, probably mainly because the Widowmaker got sniped down. He went so aggressively against that Widowmaker that I don't think I was concerned about that. And the lances and attacks are doing well, and hell, I actually destroyed the generator of the Void Stalker relatively early. And here's the Maelstrom. Here comes the first salvo of Maelstroms. He is dropping down the energy disruption for the shields, but it doesn't put the battle station at risk. And despite my attempts to try and keep this beacon alive, he just disrupts it, and that's eventually going to die to the damn Maelstrom. Well, actually, I do double Maelstrom. Okay, I take that back. What actually happens is the bombers there, I think, despite them getting shot down, are actually going after a beacon. That's how it dies. Okay, I misunderstood how this match played out. So yeah, the bombers do take out the beacon. I thought it was the Maelstrom that killed it. But, without a doubt, I wasted a lot of shield recharges there. I don't think that was really worth it. Mainly because I thought those beacons had 100 shields all this time. I didn't realize they had 200, so that's part of the reason why I messed up there. And I figured, hell, since I already committed to the one shield transfer, I might as well commit fully. Try and keep it alive, and at least then I have an extra macro cannon to kind of harass and do damage to him. Not to mention the shield transfer the beacon would have offered me would have made up a little bit for the 3 or 4 that I just spent on it. Nonetheless, he's gone silent running. Well, he didn't go silent running, but he's hiding the gas cloud there. So I kind of thought he was silent running there. I didn't really pay much attention to the layout of the map behind me, so I didn't even realize, in all honesty, that that gas cloud was back there. If he had silent run, that's what the Cobra was meant for, to kind of detect them. At least know if he was going to juke back. Because as soon as I did my silent running, I just turned the ships around in case he was going back to the angle he attacked. Considering he did destroy the beacon, so that's my most vulnerable spot. And he does boost on back overwards, but I do have a Cobra ready for him. Not to mention the space station, the battle station itself can also detect him once he gets within range. So yeah, we're going to chip down some more damage here, and I try to focus down the Solaris first, since it is the closest and easily and quite frankly, rather, the most easiest to shoot down and kill. I don't know if it's a smart choice to just go for the weakest ships, mind you, but it is what's presented to me there, as I do actually get the ram on there, do a little bit extra damage considering the fragile state, even if it was already destroyed. It soaked a lot of bombers, actually. His auto-casting's probably hindering him heavily, and I could abuse that because I have 2 more Cobras to spawn from the battle station with that in mind. I should be aware that he's auto-casting, so with the extra Cobras the next time he disengages, I can just spawn another Cobra and force him to not have any bombers for the rest of the engagement. With that said, he has his shield disruption back up, which is easily countered. Maelstrom does not do damage to the shield, so I could just sit in here all day and it's like means nothing. It feels like a stupid idea because he can still continue to drop bombs, and hell, that one plasma bomb he drops is actually going to kill his stasis bomb. I don't think about it at the time because of that, because I have so much more other pressing things to concern myself with, like that damn energy disruption. And with that said, I am in a bit of an awkward position because my forces are getting a little spread out. I do have a silent run overlord there, but the bombers are trying to make their way for the battle station. And thankfully, I don't even think they managed to get a single hit on the battle station, as that Void Stalker is taking heavy damage. Its generator's gone, so it's kind of easy to do that even at max range. But my Dictator gets stuck in the stasis bomb. That's gonna play a huge part of what happens here, because now it's completely isolated. I don't have enough shield transfers to get his shields back up, and he just unloads on this thing. And in a brief moment, you're gonna see why having my ship spread out is so important to avoid. Because this Dictator is just going to die immediately. It's in this Maelstrom. It has no real firepower to contribute. And I do try to warp it out, but with bombers, it doesn't make it even through the first 3 seconds. But he apparently is not very skilled or not used to playing as Eldar, because the hull fields are down. I just punish him heavily for that, as I just spawned 2 of the Cobras right away for torpedoes and a little bit of ramming damage. I don't think I fired torpedoes off on the Void Stalker, unfortunately, but we kill an Eclipse, which is a big deal considering these are the bread and butter of any Eldar fleet. And with the generator down on the Void Stalker, that's sure to die pretty soon too, especially since the Widowmaker's right next to it, I believe. I believe that's the Widowmaker. And what he does here, and what I'm going to be kicking myself on, because keep in mind the generator's down, and I do not think about it in this few moments, is that he decides to warp out. He decides to warp out as soon as he gets hit in. And with a Widowmaker right there, I could have just so easily punished him with no hollow field. Hell, I could even held off on those torpedoes. I'm just killing myself right now. He is just outside of macro battery range, and I could have just held off those torpedoes for another 2-3 seconds and just have all 12 of them just hit that Void Stalker, and at the very least force him to cancel the warp. I don't need to tell you how significant that is. I just realized at the last possible second. I knew he had the generator down. I just completely forgot about it because of the frantic moving around and dodging his bombs, and being aware of the shield transfers on the battle station. I am just kicking myself, because I don't even think that Void Stalker even had a navigator upgrade. Which then goes on to the next question. Does either the Void Stalker or the Eclipse suffer a lost in warp effect? Because that also will change the dynamic of what happens here significantly. Because with one Eclipse already out, and one more of those ships at least taken out, I'm in good shape to deal with any Solarises or even cruisers he decides to field. Here's hoping anyway. Or at the very least, it greatly reduces his burst potential if my ships were to get isolated by those stasis bombs eventually. So, what is my strategy here? Because again, I have fairly little idea how I should play this matchup, especially with my cruisers, and I'm not willing to try light cruisers, and especially for match game, to try and do a frigate spam. Especially with Imperial Navy, I'm not comfortable with that, because they are slower than my Space Marines, despite how promising the Space Marine videos and matches have been against Eldar. These are slower, and I have tried one match before in persistent mode, I think, with the light cruiser and frigates, and it did not work out very well. So I am not comfortable or willing to try that out, but with that said, I have absolutely no idea how I could be aggressive with this fleet. The one thing I have going for me is that I am the defender for this cruiser clash. That is a significant thing to keep in mind, because I can just stall out the clock if I don't feel like I can get a proper engagement in. So he has to be the aggressor, and I could just sit back, and with these gas clouds I have lots of hiding points to potentially avoid bombers without silent running. So this is a good position for me. It's just a question of how aggressive is he going to be. Because he could choose to just stay back and just not engage me if he feels like these gas clouds are not in his favor. Especially with him relying on bombers, which he's going to need a vision that make use of. But again, with me as a defender, I can sit comfortably in my spots here around the gas clouds, but of course you know that means it's going to be a long match if we're going to go that route. Experience is going to be a big factor in this, so I'm trying to learn where my limitations are, if nothing else. As he does reveal at least one Hellborn or at least one Nightshade, which I seriously doubt it's a Nightshade. It's more than likely a Hellborn. I don't think I've ever seen anyone use Nightshades. For reasons I explained before in my Eldar video, it's just so much easier if you need a cheaper frigate to just use the Hemlocks. Much more simpler to control, and a lot safer considering its range. Whereas the Nightshade, if you want the torpedoes to hit, you need to get relatively close, and these things could die incredibly fast to any lightning strikes or boarding attempts, so definitely a lot more questionable with the Nightshade. But the Widowmaker is kind of key in this matchup. Even with the lack of gas clouds he has surrounding him there, even with silent running, so long as this Widowmaker survives, I can keep hitting him well before he can get in firing range. So I got that going for me, and I do a good job at repositioning this thing. But once the stasis bombs start dropping, I'm going to have to start boosting out and avoiding getting hit by any shield disruptions and Maelstrom combos. And we do get an amazing start on that Solaris at least. Half its health is gone, I think. It's really hard to say because my screen's minimized watching this at the moment. Oh, not at least slightly minimized. I think the prow is gone, so he has no more fighters on that Solaris, I think. Although he has like 7 or 6 star cannons, so he very well have just lost one of them instead. But the premature Maelstrom is out. It seems kind of silly to activate that prematurely when you have no guarantee the shield's going to be gone, but the stasis bomb has locked down one of my cruisers, and this is a big deal. It's very well isolated, but he hasn't done his attack run yet. And of course, I wasn't paying attention. I could have dodged that second shield disruption. So what I do there instead is just invest one shield transfer. Oh yeah, I messed up one of the shield transfers there. I accidentally right-clicked it or something, auto-cast it, and the shield transfer went to one of my other ships that didn't need it. So I could have mitigated a lot of the Maelstrom damage here, but as it stands, I just need to dodge these stasis bombs, because thankfully these stasis bombs are on a 5-minute cooldown. So I just need to dodge it and avoid the shield disruption, which doesn't happen again, but at least it's on a different cruiser. But now I don't have any shield transfers available to me, so this thing's going to take a lot of damage. He is focusing on the weakened cruiser at least. So the star cannons somehow are going straight through the stasis bomb. Is that how it's supposed to work? I'm not honestly sure. I feel like that should not be the case. At least have him slowed down, so at least that way I can get amazing value on a supercharged void shield when the stasis bomb does come down. So I wonder if that's intended or not. A very minor point, but hell, it could have avoided a lot of damage if that's just slowed down. I could have withheld a supercharged void shield as I frantically try and get this thing out, but I have to concede that this thing is not going to survive. It is only a tyrant though. It is my lower point ship, but it's still almost a quarter of my points as I only trade with a Solaris, I believe, for that. And half of his health about on the Eclipse, so not terrible trade, but as far as ships destroyed, he's got better value. He's got better value, but I got a good opportunity to shoot the Eclipse if he does his next attack run, if he doesn't reshuffle the formation. At least. So, at this point, I don't know how I should commit, because I think what he's going to do is just hide out at long range and wait for his cooldowns to come back up. Which, is, as I said before, I'm the defender. This shouldn't be too bad. I just feel like I should try and put a little bit of pressure on him, especially now that his holo feels like low charge for that brief moment. I got some good lance value out of that. Where they actually hit and did damage, I couldn't tell you. I wasn't paying attention to that fact, but still. We're getting some shots in. We're even getting some hits maybe on the Void Stalker. No, nothing sticks, unfortunately. And really, I'm just trying to harass, I guess. I do have gas clouds still near me there, and with I don't even believe he has extended sensors on any of his ships, because after all, he has favors on his Eclipses, he has favors on his Void Stalker, and he even has favors on those Solarises, I believe. So I think he cut back on a lot of his upgrades, and one of them was the extended sensors, which actually works out well for me as far as easily being able to hide myself with these gas clouds. Until he seriously commits to an attack run, he cannot reveal me. So I try to abuse that, even though my poor Widowmaker just barely didn't survive one of the exchanges there. I don't know what happened to the poor thing. But it's still alive, so I can still reveal. And that's the main thing that matters. That's the main thing that matters, and it got me a nice little window to dodge both the Plasma Bomb and the Shield Disruption. And the second Overlord does manage to avoid that shield drain, so we make it through that alright. He does decide to drop another one down, and unfortunately, this does eventually force me to spread out my ship some, which is kind of tenuous right now, especially since that's one of my weaker cruisers right now. But it is still a Tyrant. That's not an Overlord that's at risk, so I can use as decent bait. I just don't have a lock-on to punish him for aggressive play, or a brace for impact to even soak damage from his bombers. But things aren't looking too terrible, despite how I feel helpless right now trying to chase him down. I am getting some hits on the Eclipse. It's now down to about a third of its health. I'm hopefully going to dodge two of these stasis bombs, but I decide to just avoid the one there and keep this thing hidden. So at least that way he can't easily get at him with bombers. Because look, Maelstrom comes up, it does nothing. Absolutely nothing until he decides to hit with pulsars. And right now, if I were him, he would be really hesitant to attack with that Eclipse right now. He does decide to go in for an attack. I do have supercharged Void Shield, Stasis Bombs down. And I do preemptively activate the supercharged Void Shield. All the damage has been negated. I just don't have a solid run, unfortunately, to deny these bombers. So I'm going to take a lot of damage regardless of my attempts. But the Eclipse is gone, and I kind of would have loved that thing to explode right now. That would have been amazing value. It would have took out the frigate next to it and heavy damage to the Void Stalker, I think. But at least this time I'm a little more prepared. But he gets amazing value out of that Hellborn. Both torpedoes hit me. This thing is limping. It's crippled. One more strike from the Void Stalker is going to kill it without a doubt. And what I try to do, what I'm hoping to do, is stall this thing's demise by using the Solaris as like cover. It doesn't work out, I don't think, because yeah, the Void Stalker gets a clean shot regardless of my attempts. Hell, even the Hellborn doesn't get any of its shots blocked. I need bigger ships to be used as my shield, damn it. Solarises don't cut it. Try as I might, and with an insubordination that complicates things further, thankfully he's only a temporary damaged component, so I can easily repair that, and the mutiny is not actually going to be very pivotable unless he decides to lightning strike me. So, we're in decent shape here. A good Void Stalker bombing run, though, can cripple one of my overlords there that's already at half health, so I need to be careful. I do lock on, because quite frankly I have this gas cloud, so I should be able to hide well, and with the double critical hit chance of the lock on top of the fragile state, I am feeling confident I can at least get some critical hits on this thing. Hell, it looks like one salvo almost hit it completely. Pretty damn close anyway. Pretty damn close as I try and deter an aggressive play with some torpedoes. Dang, with his bombers and fighters though, it doesn't stick, unfortunately. Ugh. And even with him not even committing any engagements, I just took a crap ton of damage from those bombers. I need the other Overlord to kind of help with its point defense, especially since it hasn't lost any point defense. But as it stands now, I need to kill Solaris to equal the footing, and we get it. We got it at least, and it does explode. Which is kind of why I wish the Eclipse would have exploded there, because that Hellborn just did barely survived. And like almost 200 health on the Void Stalker too, so it was a worthwhile exchange, and I try to prioritize my efforts on the Hellborn, at the very least so he can't get some dumb lucky torpedo shots in the gas cloud. That's probably the only thing that can really complicate things, is his ability to just dumbfire those torpedoes in a gas cloud, especially a small one like this. He has a really good chance to hit me. Even with all the point defense I may have available, those torpedoes have a chance to just negate any point defense hits, so that is my priority. And even with Lances, there's a realistic chance I could just kill it in one solid hit. But it survived. It survived my first attempt, and what I try and do here, as I'm realizing Solid Run's not available, is I try to Solid Run over to the second gas cloud. So that way he has absolutely no idea I'm shifting positions, because again, this is a very small gas cloud. He could easily reveal me with a beacon there as he's showing, and the torpedoes, as I mentioned before, can very easily hit my cruisers, especially if I'm trying to shoot them with my macro batteries at the same time. I'm withholding on the repairs to the macro cannons for now, until I really need to, because I still got full macro batteries on the other side, but we attempt to make our solid run across this chasm. And I don't know if he knows this or not, but the solid run ends just before I can get to the gas cloud there, and I don't think he saw it. I don't know if he saw it there because, really, he throws another beacon later on at the same gas cloud I was just at, so I think it pays off, this little maneuver. A little bit of sneaky tactics, hell. If I saw him moving away, if I waited a little bit and saw him moving away from the gas cloud on the right, I probably could have gone there instead. Either way, both these gas clouds are big enough to at least keep my Overlord well behind my other one without it having to burn a solid run to stay hidden. Whereas I may not have much defense for it, especially if he's going to commit to an attack run, but like I said, I'm the defender in this exchange, so as much as I dislike to stall this out, it is my best strategy right now. It is my best strategy because I only have one Void Stalker to deal with, and if I can kill that Hellborn, not only does it get rid of the torpedoes that I'm worried about, but he has no ships to spot for him, and with him not lacking or not having any extended sensors, he has to get in within 5,000 units to spot me, and that is almost certain death for that Void Stalker if I can hit it. But as it stands now, this Hellborn is very incredibly stubborn, as 4 lances shoot at it and it does nothing. It's refusing to die on me. Part of it could be due to the brace for impact, but when I try to, what I should have done is just stayed in the gas cloud a little bit, because I could have avoided those bombers. I kind of was expecting them to commit to a more aggressive attack though, which is kind of why I poked out what I did. Thankfully though, I'm not in the stasis bomb. I managed to break free from that, so even though it took a lot of damage there, the damage is negligible as far as the Maelstrom. but it still was painful with the Void Stalker. But repairs are underway, it's going to get back most of its health, and I try and position myself to maybe harass with some torpedoes there. At least force him to move around a bit. I don't expect it to actually hit anything because, again, he's Eldar, and surprisingly, I have not seen any false maneuver going on here. Which kind of, he could sort of get away with how I've been playing this matchup. But I feel like if I was super aggressive, I could have punished that. He couldn't run away if he was going to do any pulsar attack runs on me. Even with the light cruisers or anything else. I could have run him down or run down his Void Stalker at least with like a frigate swarm. But as it stands now, I did not feel that. And I kind of wish I did, because I would have been interested to see how that would work, at least for the assassination. There is no way in hell I would risk losing this match though, well, on the frigate swarm. And actually, judging by how low his holofields have been getting sometimes, that probably could have still worked. But I want to experiment on a match that I can throw away safely and not cost me, if nothing else. As I try once more, to kill the Hellborn, it just needs one lance hit. One damn lance hit, and it's been stubborn this entire time. But you know what? The lances don't kill it. The macro batteries do, I believe. I think. I know it's not quite dead yet, I don't believe. I think I get one more final lance hit before it gets hit, and there we go. It was supposed to die, but I guess in the end it was the lances that killed it. He has been getting insanely lucky with that lances, and I know it is an 80% chance for lances to do nothing, but still, that is technically a 1 in 5 chance, so with like 10, 12, however many lances it was, it should have died eventually. At least sooner than what just happened there. And now I'm content to just commit to fighting this Void Stalker now, at least in this gas cloud, because again, no extended sensors, no support ships to spot. It's kind of a bit of a death sentence if he tries to commit to bombers, because there's no way the bombers can even do damage to me now. Unless he wants to stay so close to me to keep vision until the bombers reach me, which I don't think he wants to do that. I don't think he's comfortable with that either, even though technically that might be the best option with the amount of health he has on that thing. But we are getting damage, there's a fire on it. I don't know if he's repaired yet or not recently, but he's a little bit worried. He's worried about poking in here, and quite frankly, there's nothing he can really do. Hell, the autocast bombers just gets denied immediately. I could have almost just charged them aggressively now, almost. But with my macro batters on the side, that's not really a good idea, because there's no way it can actually do damage while I'm chasing them. Not effectively anyway. Not unless I want to rely on the lances to do the damage. But the running down the clock so far is working well. We're down to 4 minutes about. 4 more minutes, he has to make a play. And try as he might, these beacons do nothing. If he had the recon probes, the one that sticks, he could have probably revealed me in this gas cloud, but even then, this gas cloud is so fast, so big, that I can actually hide in another section of it, so even then, that would sort of be short-lived. Just a little bit, and again, here comes the bombers, or he's going to get ready for the bombers. Supercharged Void Shield does its thing. Technically, with the Phos pattern shields, I think I could have avoided not using the supercharge. It was looking close. But Star Cannons are going to take it eventually anyway. He's going to take it eventually. I'll happily take this Maelstrom in exchange for his bombers not hitting me. And shields are already up. One shield transfer, the capacitor recharge, we're looking at about a 5-10 second recharge of my shields. And even after all that, even after that attack, we still managed to heavily damage and cause a mutiny on the Void Stalker. So in the end, this just turned around, I think. I am in damn good position for winning this. It's just not the victory I would have liked, because in the end, how could I secure a victory if I was the attacker, in all honesty? I need to get some more experience with Eldar, and of course, try practicing with the light cruiser and frigate swarm and something like assassination, because if he's going to put himself in a corner when I'm already in the middle of the map, there's a very damn good chance that could work well for me. Even if I don't kill the assassination, I can at least kill some of his other ships maybe, especially if he's got a second eclipse.
Enemy ship sighted.
It's really hard to say. I just need more experience. And with how infrequently and how little I've been getting Eldar matchups, it's going to be trial and error from here on out. So in all honesty, I feel like I just got lucky, at least for the cruiser clash. I will say though, the space station assault felt like a flawless defense. It was just a little bit awkward when my dictator got stuck on the stasis bomb. I was trying to boost it out, and it ended up getting stuck in the stasis bomb as a result. And that's pretty much what killed it. If I could have circled around the stasis bomb and got closer to the station, at least then I could have got some shield transfers in maybe with the beacon. At least at the very last second. And of course it would have been running away from it, which means it would take so much longer for the bombers to get in there. But that was Eldar.